Speak Your Mind Radio is an internet radio community on DLive, broadcasting abducted child alerts, missing person cases, and bringing breaking and top news to you affecting our world, along with music and talk radio. Thanks for listening.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome. And I'm here with another news story affecting the world today. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about the homeless encampment in Manchester, New Hampshire. Our state is facing a crisis at the hands of our state government here. Dozens and dozens of folks left out in the cold, being threatened with arrest and the theft of their stuff, even though they're not breaking any laws. The detrimental effects of the pandemic continue to be felt statewide. While homelessness was already an issue, the economic downturn and unemployment is deepening the crisis. And this has created an exodus with the Manchester Families in Transition Shelter, which at the time in February were housing 70 people. When the pandemic started hitting in March, New Hampshire's Family in Transition Shelter was housing over 100 homeless people a night, serving more than 400 individuals from more than 180 families in their various statewide programs. According to the numbers compiled by the outreach workers on August 5th, the number of known homeless camps in Manchester went from 31 to 35 from July 1st to July 22nd. Wow, that's a significant amount in just 3 weeks. In the census of homeless individuals, they found an increase from 173 to 263 over the same period of time. Of that number, people who were in touch with social services went from 134 to 184, and individuals whose locations are known and have had no contact with outreach workers in the past 3 weeks grew from 39 to 79. And those numbers are continuing to grow. And this is not just here in Manchester. It's happening in Concord, Rochester, Keene, here in Stewartstown and Colebrook, just up the road from me, and all these bigger cities in New Hampshire. And the reason I think is it's because of, one, the CDC guidelines on social distancing, which of course reduces the number of shelter beds. Two, many of the unsheltered individuals are not comfortable going into shelters at this time in fear of getting the virus. And three, the new executive order dated June 11th of this year that foreclosures and eviction proceedings may resume on July 1st. So I want to give you a little bit of background on the executive orders. The executive orders were originally started on March 17th. Governor Sununu issued the executive orders barring landlords from instituting eviction proceedings and courts from issuing eviction orders against tenants under most circumstances, blocking lenders from instituting foreclosure proceedings against borrowers, and stopping utility companies from shutting off services for non-payment. Now, the update on the executive order came June 11th. The utilities could still not be shut off or anything, but the governor placed new restrictions on evictions based on non-payment of rent that became due between March 17th and June 11th, beginning July 1st. So in other words, if the eviction notice is for rent that became due between March 17th and June 11th, a 30-day notice period applied. For rent that became due after June 11th, a 7-day notice period applied. In either case, a landlord could not send an eviction notice until July 1st of 2020. The landlord must additionally, as always, inform the tenant of the tenant's right to avoid the eviction by payment of the arrears plus $15 before the notice period ends. And that is why the population of the homeless has increased so much since July 1st and July 22nd, because people were losing their jobs. Some people didn't work long enough to be able to collect unemployment. So how could they pay rent? So of course they get evicted. So that was really stupid for him to do. He should have still kept that executive order in until this pandemic is over with. People are struggling. I don't understand this governor at all. Why he does these things. He doesn't really care. Now I'm going to go ahead and take you into this story from Todd Bookman of New Hampshire Public Radio.
Homelessness is often an invisible issue, people living under bridges, in the woods, or alongside railroad tracks. But that's not been the case in Manchester recently.
We're on the Superior Courthouse lawn. We're in the middle of everything. The other encampments are at least like behind Fisher Cat Stadium. You know, when you're driving down Elm Street, you can't see their tents. You can see us, you know?
This is Kelly, who's staying here. She didn't want to give her last name. On Monday of this week, the state said it would begin evicting people from the encampment. Social workers from various agencies have been on the ground since then, trying to find alternatives. Inpatient rehab facilities are offering detox beds and some sober housing options outside of the city. But Kelly has been in and out of temporary shelters in the past. Despite the cold, she's happier in the camp.
I need help. Mentally, physically, you know, I need help. I know this, you know, I can't do it on my own. But I'm not going to put myself in a situation that I'm going to be hurting myself.
Kelly and the other people staying here have been joined this week, not just by social workers, but also by a group of protesters who have been on the ground 24 hours a day since early Monday. They're organizing donations of hand warmers, food, and water. Lynch Jakehouse works for the New Hampshire Youth Movement.
It's really sad that it takes people who do have homes standing on the corner with signs to get attention.
The homeless people here have noticed and appreciate the backing. This is Dennis.
I was especially struck by the outpouring of support from the community. A lot of us homeless people, we figured the community hated us. You know, we weren't expecting that.
Dennis is also declining to go to a shelter. He says he's tried that route and always ends up back on the street.
No one became homeless because they're like a fully functioning member of society, you know, like a lot of us have either substance abuse issues or mental health issues or, you know, just trauma in general.
It isn't clear exactly how many people remain at the camp, or if the state will take a more aggressive approach to clearing its inhabitants. Asked about the issue Thursday during a press conference, Governor Chris Sununu criticized the protesters, saying that they were telling homeless people not to go to shelters. He called that dangerous, given the plunging temperatures in recent days. The protesters say that Sununu's claims are false. They say they're on the ground advocating for the camp's residents and pushing for a long-term solution to homelessness that goes beyond temporary shelters. For the folks left here, like Kelly, that solution seems far off.
I'm going to stay right here until I can figure out where to go. If someone can offer me something, great. If not, I'm going to stay right here. We're in New Hampshire. Live free or die.
State officials say they'll continue to work with the remaining individuals, but a permanent camp on the courthouse property isn't an option. Todd Bookman, NHPR News.
Wow. Sitting there blaming protesters, pointing fingers at them and city officials. I don't think he realizes how serious this problem is. I mean, I'm going through the same situation here. Okay, thank God one of my friends, took me in, and I'm staying on his heated porch. And the housing out there is limited, very limited right now. Not many people are moving, but the vacant apartments that are available are the ones that are high. That the people working are struggling to even pay their rent. They need more affordable housing in Manchester. Not only in Manchester, here in Groton and Lancaster, Colbrook, Stewartstown, other areas around in New Hampshire that really need the affordable housing and transitional housing. It's just appalling to me that he would say something like that. And the mayor feels the same way too. And other city officials. So we're going to go into our next story now. The planned dismantling of a homeless encampment on the lawn of the Superior Courthouse in Manchester drew protests on November 16th. The first tent on the grounds of Superior Court went up in March, and the encampment has grown since then. A crowd of protesters holding signs and chanting "Homeless Lives Matter" gathered as the Monday deadline to dismantle the camp arrived. Being homeless is not a joke, so Whoever is listening, we need help being homeless, said Calvin Atwood, who said he has been homeless for 7 years. It's getting cold, and we need shelter, we need housing, we need help. Amy Covino report on this story. Let's go in and take a look.
The first tent went up on the grounds here at Superior Court in Manchester in March. The encampment has grown exponentially since then.
Homeless lives matter! Homeless lives matter!
The posters and demonstrators who arrived early Monday, both a plea and a show of support for those who have claimed the state-owned front lawn of the courthouse as home.
Being homeless is not a joke. So whoever's listening, we need help being homeless. I mean, it's getting cold. We need shelter. We need housing. We need help.
Mayor Joyce Craig is frustrated and worried. COVID has exacerbated the issue.
There are no beds in our shelter. There's no transitional supportive housing available. When you call 211 for the statewide access to housing and shelter, there's nothing. The city of Manchester is in a place where we are putting plans together on fatality prevention, and we really hope that the state reconsiders and allows us to utilize the armory. We have a number of encampments that have popped up throughout the city because many of the unsheltered individuals are not comfortable going into shelters at this time. Communication has been lacking. So, our office has not received communication from the governor's office.
Lack of affordable housing, part of the equation. Winter is imminent, and tolerance for the ad hoc courthouse cul-de-sac is waning. The mayor is losing patience with the lack of state support. She asked to use the armory as a temporary shelter and was declined. Where to go? Depends on who you ask.
We're not going nowhere. Lock us up if it takes that.
The people here at the encampment were given a 10-day notice about this break it down deadline. This comes as temperatures plummet this week and the city's shelters are at or near capacity. The governor has said the state is working on finding accommodations. In Manchester, Amy Covino, WMUR News 9.
According to NHPR News, 4 days later, after the deadline, the state took a more aggressive approach to clearing the encampment. About 40 New Hampshire state troopers dressed in green uniforms and masks entered the campground and positioned themselves throughout. They were calm and did not say much. They offered plastic bags and assistance. New Hampshire State Police Captain Bill Haynes was in charge of the mission. He said he couldn't answer any questions except to say they were clearing the site of campers and their belongings, and it would be cleared by the end of the day. Christine Carosa from WMUR News 9 reports on this. Let's go ahead and take a look.
After the deadline passed for clearing a homeless camp outside the Superior Courthouse in Manchester, state police came to dismantle it.
It's very disgusting to see this happening because they're basically just pushing us off one lawn onto the streets again.
State officials and local providers say they approached each person and presented them with several options for alternative housing. The state says 33 people have accepted services, the rest left. 2 people who refused were arrested.
This action from the state is inhumane, causing trauma to individuals with nowhere else to go.
Mayor Joyce Craig says some people's possessions were destroyed and they were separated from their caseworkers. Officials from the Attorney General's office say the state has been working with the homeless since the summer, but they say they couldn't wait any longer to clear this property. The Attorney General's office says the fence behind me is temporary and they will be putting up a permanent one. State police will be monitoring the area moving forward. Reporting in Manchester, Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Wow, I can't believe they're doing this. This is ridiculous. Although the state put up no camping signs in September on the courthouse lawn and assured the city they would begin an action plan, so far there has been no action at all. Now, the state cannot move individuals from state-owned land unless they can identify a specific bed for each individual, which is the same situation Manchester and other communities are in. Yes, those 33 people took services. Yes, they went. They found them beds. But the other ones, they left because I think there was no more beds left at all. Or maybe they just didn't want to go in these places because in fear of catching the COVID-19. So that is it for this video here. Thanks for listening and watching. They're going to be coming out with the point in time count numbers on homelessness in the state of New Hampshire sometime tomorrow. So when I get those numbers, I'll come back on and report that in my next video. So till then, God bless, have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow night.